What is up, nerds? Welcome back to episode 45 of the Pickleball Pursuit podcast. I'm your host, Lewis, with Pickleball Pursuit, here with my co-host, Justin, my pickleball wife, the man, the king of the nerds, pickleball, etc. How you been, man?
I've been good. It was a good intro. It's getting, I'm acquiring monikers.
Yeah,
I know. I'm getting more and more monikers. Yeah, man, been good. Been playing. It's storming like crazy right now, but
oh, dang,
got to hook up to the indoor spot, so got to play a little bit.
Oh,
yeah,
living a little bit in my shoes, huh? How's it feel
it's
to
nice.
Be bougie?
Bougie, I know, right?
What's funny is I told Louie, who owns Stacks, I was like, dude, they just put out 2 like really nice new courts right by my house that I can film at anytime. Y'all aren't open. He's like, why would you want to do that? I'm like, I don't know, actually, now that you say that. He's like, yeah, it's hot as hell. I was like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's quite hot.
But I guess, if I want that natty light, film some, some sick B-roll, it's a good spot to film. So, anyway, why don't you talk about what we got on the agenda for today, man? We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Tons of paddles. The
people may be interested to hear that we're getting back together. You and I. There's going to be a lot of full circle moments on this episode. So, and then we'll get into some paddles. There's some recent releases that we'll talk about. There's just a lot of really good paddles right now. We had like a stage where there was really good paddles. We kind of had a lull, and we are back in like really good paddle.
We're locked in. Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to touch on some non-paddle related gear. A little ball update, plus something else I'm going to show you guys.
We're touching on some balls today?
Yeah.
Good.
It's just like every day. And then we'll get into our segments. New week, new main. Net gains. And we might even go to NERDTOWN. I don't know. Listen, y'all, I've been slacking, and everyone in the comments has been like, where's NERDTOWN? I came here for NERDTOWN. We don't actually care about anything else.
That's right. So, they don't care about me.
Maybe we'll go back.
You be a nerd.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah. All right, so we're getting back together. It's been a long time. We've been
We're at least going to hook up.
Yeah, we've been seeking therapy. Been, doing a lot of soul searching. But Justin and I, we're going to play a tournament together. Now, we're going to go play at the, it's called the Louisiana Amateur Championship. And it's at Stacks Pickleball. There is sign up still going on, so if you want to play, it's a good tournament. If you win it, you get a full free entry at Worlds at Dallas. When is Worlds? December?
Worlds is in November. It's in Baton Rouge, and it is on the last weekend of June.
Yep.
And it is a PPA tournament, so it's the PPA, State Amateur Championships, and they're actually doing one in every state. So there's one in Texas and Houston. I'm not even sure of the date. But we're going to play in the Baton Rouge and Louisiana one at the end of this month. And yeah, like you said, if you win it, you get free entry to Worlds, which Worlds is awesome, by the way. Highly recommend going. One of the best tournaments. And if you medal, you get a discounted entry to Worlds. It's something like half off. Maybe it's 50% off for second and then a little bit less for third.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're definitely going to be trying to win because I'm pretty sure we're going to go to Worlds regardless. Sure would be nice to go and be able to play for free because that's also not a cheap tournament. Worlds isn't.
No, definitely not. I can imagine it's probably one of the higher ones. But I do have a promo code if you do want to play in this Louisiana Amateur Championship. It's code Pursuit, gives you 10% off. That does give me a kickback. However, just so you guys know, if you want 20% off, you can just use code STACKS. So if you would prefer to have an extra 10% off on top of that, my code, just use Stacks instead. They don't get a kickback for that. They just offer that promo code to give the best possible discount for their players. So you can use mine, but I'm not going to be mad if you want an extra 10% off. So code Stacks for 20% off.
It'd be fun to
Yeah.
Play against some people. So sign up.
Sure.
We're playing 4-0, right?
We're playing 4-0, but here's the kicker.
We entertained playing 4-5. But
say that again?
I said we entertained playing 4-5.
We thought about it.
Since we're trying to win to get the free entry to Worlds, we were like, all right, maybe just play 4-0.
Yeah,
Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Like I won one tournament. Now I think I should play 4-5, you know?
Yeah, that's right. You get a 6-0 partner and
Hey. Hey,
But-
I was, I feel like, I won't even say it.
Yeah. We
My partner was awesome.
very good. Yeah. We are doing 4-0 35 to 49 age division. So we are using our sweet age to our to our benefit. So we still might get smacked up, but I think we can do
for sure.
I think we can do pretty well. I think that'll our game is where our games are right now. I think 4-0 we should for sure be in every single game, be extremely competitive, and I think honestly we could win it. I do think that.
Yeah, me too. Feel pretty confident.
Yep.
Like I always do.
Like we always do, baby. And then we come back. Hey guys, we didn't win a single game. Well, we won one game.
Yeah.
We
Hey,
always
our
win
story
one.
has changed. You won
Yeah.
quite a few tournaments. I actually didn't play tournaments for a while. I was injured and then not playing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, listen, I know the Nerdy Tourney wasn't like an official tournament, but that's a good result,
That's a big result.
So it was competitive.
Yeah. Of all the tournaments,
we've turned
I would have
over a new
rather
leaf.
won that one than any other tournament I've ever won.
Really?
So-
That one was fun.
The belt, bro? Are you kidding me? I
Oh,
don't care
the
about
belt's nice.
little flimsy metal, bro. I want a belt. But yeah, Justin and I, we're back together. At least we're flirting. We're trying to figure out if we can, do this again, and if our hearts can stand the heartbreak, potential for heartbreak. We're not gonna have any heartbreak. We're gonna win this
We've,
shit.
like you've alluded to, we've had some growth, I think, since the last time that we played. I think you specifically have, been grinding, and then you played all those tournaments, and you have legitimately gotten a lot better, for real. Like I've seen it
Bro.
from the outside. Because
I'm 407 now.
I've
gotten better.
Watch out. My
Yeah.
duper is still the same since I haven't played any tournaments. But, but yeah, you've gotten technically a lot better and more consistent. For me, it's probably a little different. I had 10 weeks off, 2.5 months off with the injury. So I was robbed of a little bit of time, but I try to use that time wisely. I think that I improved on the mental side, and which is actually a huge part of pickleball. Massive. Which I'll talk about a little bit more later.
Head case.
Yes, especially for me. So, very
Did I
true,
tell you what
actually.
Tabitha said? She listened to that part and she goes, "Oh my God, does Justin really think that much when he plays pickleball?" I was like, "Yes, yeah, it's a problem."
You could leave off when he plays pickleball. I just think that much all the time, always. But I'm getting better, okay, guys? I'm getting better.
You definitely are.
But all that to say is I think we've made some legitimate growth that will, help us perform. But we'll see. We'll see.
We could be very wrong. So yeah, just a reminder, if you guys want to sign up, code Pursuit, get you 10% off, or if you want to use code STACKS, STACKS, that'll save you 20% off, and you can play against us maybe. So
Hey, and randomly, let me pitch this real quick.
Yeah.
I'm entertaining playing mixed, but I'm not sure. Lewis is playing mixed.
Yeah.
The reason why I say I'm entertaining is because it's not local to me, so I don't really know anyone there. So if you happen to live close and want to play 4-0 mixed, and you're a lady, and even I'll play 35 plus if you want, let me know. I'm definitely down to do it. But if not, I think the likelihood is I probably won't play because we probably won't find a partner.
I might have one potentially for you. But
okay.
If somebody sees this and you're interested in playing with Justin, please do so. I want to get you
in
a partner.
Baton Rouge.
Yeah, in Baton Rouge.
In the end of the month.
It is, I'll give you the dates exactly.
27, 28.
Yeah, I think it's the 29th is the Sunday.
Oh, yeah, 29th is mixed. Yeah, you're right.
So, yeah, 29th is Sunday, mixed. That is correct. Yep. All right. Ready to move on?
Yes, let's get through some paddles. There's quite a few.
Dude, all right, yeah, we're going to kind of rapid fire through a couple. Mainly the new ARMA release from Holbrook. Drop my review on these. The skinny on these is a dual density foam core where they cut 10 millimeter core up to about right here. And then they have 8 millimeter core cells on the top. And they did this to try to make it more forgiving on the edge shots, as well as the tip of the paddle be a little bit more forgiving. They've also put an internal weighting pretty much right where I actually have my Bodhi tungsten pods, and they have a entire floating core with edge foam that is wrapped in carbon fiber, right?
Yes, it is. And just a
Yeah.
clarification, you said dual density foam core. It's a
Oh, my
dual
bad.
density polypropylene
Polypropylene.
honeycomb core.
Yeah,
So it's
sorry.
still honeycomb. It's just, two variations of honeycomb in the middle with a giant ring of EVA foam, which is wrapped in carbon fiber, which is the first time we've seen the foam ring wrapped in carbon fiber. I think that was actually a really good move.
Yeah.
And if I had to guess, I think that's a big influence on the playability. Maybe not necessarily even the dual honeycomb sizes. I think that the giant ring of foam wrapped in carbon fiber is probably what's creating the kind of stiffer, crisper, very poppy and powerful feel you get on the paddle.
Yeah, my unit, I preferred the ARMA over the ARMA Metallic.
ARMA T, right?
ARMA T, yeah. Sorry, ARMA T versus the ARMA Metallic T. The Metallic T, in my testing, felt a little bit more plush, obviously, since it's PET, and was not quite as powerful and poppy as the carbon fiber ARMA T. ARMA T, great paddle. I really liked it. As Justin alluded, a little bit more stiffer feeling, and it's just overall a very good paddle in terms of performance. There's really nothing negative I can say. There is one major caveat that I addressed in my review, which is the x-rays of this paddle look extremely worrisome.
And the dissections, not just the x-rays, but all the people who have cut them so far, Dustin, Pickleball Medicine, and John Q.
Yeah. So the John Q specifically alluded to potential core compression. Is that right? Isn't that what he said?
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah, and Dustin as well.
Yeah.
No, I mean they cut the cores and showed them, and they were essentially overcompressed. So what you might call crushed.
Yeah. So as we have all known from the mod, which is like the most glaring paddle that has used this, they crush very quickly, become ultra powerful, and just are a menace on the court to deal with. And people don't know that their paddle's core crush, and they're playing with bazookas, and it's just a huge problem. So the owner has said that there's no issues that they've had with durability.
And they're offering a 1-year warranty, which is pretty long, actually, for a Gen 3 style build. So
forget to mention that. That's on them. Very impressive. So good warranty on those.
Yeah, we'll see.
I would say
and they said they would cover if your paddle got crunchy and loud and overpowerful. They would cover that in the warranty.
Yeah, I would say it's a great paddle. Like, it performs very well. In line in terms of power with my unit. 11624 Power Series, maybe a touch more powerful and poppy, but overall, I have nothing negative to say about the paddle. I think it performs very well. And the ARMA T, which is the carbon fiber, is $221 after Code Pursuit, which in the grand scheme of things with Gen 3 power paddles is not a bad price at all. I would say it's kind of middle of the road, much less than obviously the Yolas and the Protons, and I'm forgetting one other one, but solid paddles. So anything else you want to say about the Holbrooks before we move on? Cool. All right, we're going to move on to the C45 Dynasty and Tempo paddles. The Dynasty is the elongated shape paddle. This is, in my opinion, the best elongated shape paddle on the market prior to today. We'll talk about what could potentially dethrone it. But I really like the playability of the C45s, like the feel of them. The 14 millimeter really resonates well with me. If you want to go check out more about these paddles, you can look at my review. But the short is these are very aggressive paddles, specifically the 14. The 16 isn't quite as aggressive. 14 has great power, great pop, good spin, and shockingly stable for an elongated shape paddle. Even though it has pretty low numbers stock, as soon as you put a little weight on the edges at the bottom corners, it becomes pretty stable. And really enjoy these paddles. $207 after Code Pursuit. The teal will be the first available colorway for the Dynasty shape, and then the reds will be on pre-order. So super cool paddles. Really like what Franklin did with these. I think they're pretty slick looking as well. And my favorite elongated shape paddle, potentially. Anything you want to touch on for the C45s? I know you've played with them a good amount.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that it's hard for me to pick my favorite between the 14 millimeter elongated and the like original 14 millimeter hybrid, which is the blue one. They honestly are like very similar. The kind of weight and balance is a little different. And the hybrid came so light, you had to weight it up so much. The elongated is a little bit heavier, but it's still very light. You have a lot of room for customization.
Still need some lead on the elongated for sure.
Yeah, and then the standard shape it was kind of unplayable for me. It was like barely over 15.5 inches long, tiny handle. It's just a very small paddle in like every way. It's not full width either. So
kiddie paddle size, basically.
Yeah, it feels like a kid's paddle. I tried it and I was just like, this isn't, Anyway, but so all that to say is I like the 14s over the 16s as well. The 14s actually still maintain a good amount of like dwell.
Yes.
So
C45 is
overly
very
stiff.
unique feel.
Yeah, so I would actually see no reason to play the 16 over the 14 personally, because I would prefer the more offensive and more maneuverable 14, and it's not overly stiff.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're good paddles, and unfortunately, like I was actually putting a good amount of time on my hybrid. I got the weight set up right, but then it started sounding different. It started like changing in tone. It started rattling, and you guys know me. I'm out. I'm like, I'm out. You can't. The paddle can't start changing how it plays on me, or I'm out.
I'm a little bit more steadfast in that approach.
You're more forgiving.
A little bit more forgiving. Finally, my 14 millimeter just barely has the faintest of rattles.
And the rattle's actually not as big of a deal.
Yeah, it's really just usually loose glue in most circumstances, correct?
Right. Yeah, loose glue, or like specifically in this one, they trim the honeycomb with CNC, and there's a chance that some of those little pieces of plastic from the trimming are kind of loose in there, but they're sort of stuck with the adhesive, and then as you play, they come loose and they rattle. So the rattling actually not a big deal, but for mine, like it started sounding deeper, it started getting more powerful, and those are usually the very first steps to a paddle breaking. We know this, so I was just like, I'm out. I just put it down at that point.
I can say, as somebody who has played with both the hybrid and the elongated C45s pretty extensively, this one seems to change a little bit less than the original C45. I'm not sure if maybe it's just because I got an early unit and they cleaned up a few things with QC. But I have been impressed with the durability on these. Haven't had any issues. Haven't had really any drastic changes at all with these. So really high on the C45 Dynasties. I think the slightly shorter and slightly wider elongated shape really does, in my opinion, improve the playability and make what is traditionally not a very forgiving shape just give you just a little bit more confidence, which I think goes a long way.
It's a nice shape. If people aren't hung up on it getting it exactly 16.5 long, it's a nice shape because it's like 16.4, 7.6, right? So they're using the full allowable. The handle length is perfect. The taper at the throat feels totally comfortable. So I think it's actually a great shape that if you can get along with it, it's a good one. And I'm not using an elongated player either, and that one was easy for me to use. Same for you.
Yep. So both of those paddles released on the 10th, which will be a day ago when this is posted. Also, the blue cores from Diadem released. Not doing a review for those just because I got one shape. It was the Max. It was like a kid paddle, similar to the Tempos from Franklin's 280. Doesn't really offer anything special in terms of playability. I just don't see why anyone would pick it up above a True Foam or really any other foam paddle that is on the market right now. So perfectly fine paddles, just not worth 280. Maybe 2 months ago, maybe. But that's a big maybe. So, all right, man.
The True Foam existed, maybe.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, it's just like it feels like a Gen 2 $100 paddle. It's like
kind of does.
Yeah, it's like not that great.
Yeah, and good on them for advancing their tech, and they're gonna use the foam core throughout their lineup. And I get that this is the first iteration, and they're gonna build from here. But honestly, they need to build from here. It feels very basic, and there's just so many good performance paddles. So and the shapes are
pretty rough. Yeah. All right. We will move on to a comparison that we promised. Finally, Justin's played significantly with the J2NF and the J2FC Plus paddles. I did
all of the
a
NFs.
very extensive playing session with the NF and the FC Plus twice, actually 2 sessions, to make sure that I wasn't going crazy. And we'll talk about how we think these paddles compare. Obviously, the FC Plus is still in the beta, which means that it has not received official USAP approval. The J2NF and all of actually the NF series has received USAP approval, passed PB Core. The NF, for what it's worth, did get a score of 0.43, almost on the dot. It might be just like slightly less than that, but it's virtually, for all intents and purposes, the max that it can be. Does that mean it's the most powerful paddle on the market? Not necessarily, but in our testing, it's up there. Like, it is up there with some of the best in the market. So let's talk about NF versus FC Plus. Justin, I've been talking a crap load. I'll let you start. Tell us what you thought.
So I played, like you said, I've actually played full sessions with each of these. And then this morning, I played back-to-back, switching back and forth. And I know everyone said this, they've beat it up, but this says L. This is just an early version. The release versions will just be NF. But regardless, we're calling this the NF. This is the FC Plus. The difference in construction, if you don't already know, NF stands for notched foam. These are both full foam cores with EVA outer rings and EPP inner cores. However, on the notched foam, where the cores join has notches, sort of like a cog or like a Lego, you know? Whereas this is more traditional foam ring, where you have a solid foam ring that just has a line all the way around the head, and there's no, notches or interlocking between them. And then beyond that, this is a CFC layup, the NF does, so it has fiberglass. And to my knowledge, the FC Plus is just carbon fiber. So I would assume 3, possibly 4 layers, but probably 3 layers of just unidirectional carbon. Okay, so for the playability, extremely similar. We're talking 2 of the most similar paddles that you could, pick up and play with. The high level differences are NF plays and feels slightly stiffer, is more poppy. FC Plus, on the inverse, has a little bit more pocket or dwell, if you want to call that, and that means a reduction in pop. Outside of that, they both have massive sweet spots, actually, but I'm pretty sure the NF takes the edge here, and I'm like ready to say the NF has the best sweet spot I've ever played with on any paddle ever. Like, it's that good. And kind of defining sweet spot here, we talk about 2 different things, and we've said this before. First off, energy return, like how much energy is returning into the ball when you're hitting off center, high, low, left, right. And then the second part is like vibration dampening. How does it feel, right? And some paddles excel at one or the other. You might have a paddle that returns a lot of energy off center, but it feels so jarring that you consider that not the sweet spot. You may have the inverse, where paddles feel nice and dampened and they don't jar you too much off center, but the ball dies, right? So it doesn't return.
A good example, real quick, of a paddle that has a fairly good sweet spot, but feel-wise doesn't feel like that, is the delisted Course Fires. They were very jarring off center, but still gave you that exit velocity and energy return, but it just didn't feel good.
And then we also talk about like the drop off, like how different does a ball feel dead center to like 1-2 inches off center? Some paddles feel so significantly different, and the drop off in power is giant. Well, I think if you have less drop off, we call that a larger sweet spot. So all that to say is this NF, good in every single way. Very little drop off from center to outside. The outside shots, because of the foam construction, are really not that jarring. Like, you really don't, it doesn't feel that bad. Obviously, you can tell where you're hitting it if you hit near the edge. And then the energy return is extremely high. Like, it's actually been shocking me and the people that I play with how many balls I'm getting back playing with the NF. Just getting a paddle on it. Like, balls that usually you know, it's maybe an overhead or a put away and you just take a stab and then maybe you're hitting near the edge, near the corner, and those are usually dying, going in the net, whatever. It's like, nice try. With this paddle, like a lot of those are going back, like a significant amount.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is probably the best sweet spot I've ever tried ever. And wow, it's good. Okay. The FC is a massive sweet spot. I would say got to be on par with, you know, the J2K, which was the original paddle that had a giant sweet spot that everybody was raving about. So it's not small by any means, but just not quite as big as the NF in my testing. Okay. Now for my preference, I actually decided today that I like the FC Plus better. And this was surprising to me. I think that the overall power, like on serves, overheads, drives, is actually basically the same. They both hit really hard.
Yeah.
And when I say really hard, I mean like harder than the 11.6 24 powers. I would still put them just below the Yola Pro 4s in my mind. So that's where I'd slot them in. And yeah, like if you get a clean put away, you can really put a lot of power on it. But yeah, the little bit more pocketing and less pop on this one, it helped me with like ball feel in situations where really finesse shots, right? Like you really want to carve a dink, or you're trying to be real gentle on a fifth. Say you drive the third and you're coming in and someone hits one at your feet and you got to like really gently pick it up and try to drop it right over the net on a fifth. On all those scenarios where a lot of finesse is required, I just had a touch more feel on the FC Plus, and that was probably a little bit softer, and I found myself popping up a few less dinks. So that would be my choice. But massive asterisk, this is not USAP approved. So that being said, since they're so extremely similar, I would choose the NF to be my main if I was going to choose between these two, because, you know, tournaments coming up, this is the one you want to be ready for a tournament with.
Yeah.
Okay.
In theory,
spin is excellent on both of them, by the way. We didn't mention that. But
spin is kind of outrageous. I hit a couple drives today with the NF, like playing against Louie and B. One drive in particular, they just full whiffed. It dipped so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good. I think the FC Plus, just a smidge better on the spin because you get a little bit more pocketing. And then if we talk about like the most elite shot shaping paddle, I think up to this point it's kind of been the True Foam.
Yeah.
And then I would say it's True Foam. Narrowly behind is FC Plus. Narrowly behind that is the NF. And maybe I'd put on par with the FC Plus. Right near the True Foam is the NFT. The spin on this is actually ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
I feel like it gets more spin on big strokes than the True Foam. But the smaller strokes, I would maybe give the edge just like a little bit to the True Foam, especially with like rolls. Rolls, for whatever reason, I'm not sure why the True Foam just feels so good with those rolls. But yeah, I mean, and that's, you know, not downgrading this because that is literally the elite of. That's like the pinnacle.
We were
of
shot
shaping
about
before.
We're basically talking about the elite of the elite with these and the
Yeah.
True Foam in the same category.
Yeah. So I would echo almost everything you said, and I even gave my NF and FC Plus to a friend who was playing, and she loves the vapor power, and she played with the NF. She thought the same thing. The NF was just a little stiffer and more rigid feeling, and the FC Plus was more duelly. Honestly, although the NF is a stiffer feeling paddle, it does have a good amount of dwell. Like the foam really does pocket the ball well. I think it's that.
Yeah, we're just talking in comparison.
Yeah.
To each other here.
Yeah.
It's not a super stiff paddle at all, especially you know, for us used to playing with 14 millimeter paddles with fiberglass. Like this is still a 16 millimeter foam paddle. It is 16, right?
Yep, 16.
Actually, I should measure these. But so yeah, there's still a great amount of dwell. The FC Plus just has actually kind of excellent dwell and pocketing. It's like pretty up there.
Yeah, it's very good. The
totally different power profile, but like the grab on the ball reminds me of like the Mach 2 Forza, which is like crazy how much you can grab and spin the ball.
Yeah,
the FC Plus reminds me of that, but with like a shitload more power. So
yeah, the Mach 2s were pillows. But But yeah, I would say there's really not a ton different in these paddles. I would say if you now look, I would say it's likely that the FC Plus will get approved, but can't count on that. Yeah, you can't count on that. Nobody can count on the PB Core right now. There's just been a few very questionable approvals, but anyway, that's another story for another day. But I would say the NF is a safe pick, obviously, right now because it is approved. But if you're willing to wait, if you want to wait a little bit, just a couple weeks, can't imagine it'll take any longer than that to find out if the FC Plus gets approved. If you're someone who does like a little bit less power than like the Yolas, either of these is going to work, but the FC Plus is going to be even better because it's a tiny step up, maybe. It's probably about even with the 11624 Power Series, now that I think about it. But
I feel like it's more power still.
You're probably right.
Maybe a touch less pop.
Yeah.
Maybe just a hair less.
Yeah.
I think it's still more power. Like on overheads and stuff, dude, these are some of the hardest overheads I've ever hit in my whole life. Yeah,
these paddles rip the ball. But I thought the FC Plus was going to be the more powerful one, and then as soon as I played with the NF, I was like, Jesus, like this paddle is a monster. So if you're looking for the ultra aggressive paddle, NF. If you're looking for something that's very aggressive, but still has that softer, dwellier feel, similar to like the True Foams, if FC Plus is probably the way to go. Can't go wrong with either of these paddles, in my personal opinion.
No, I agree.
I would say they are. If you took every single paddle on the market and averaged out the performance, I would say these have to both be put in the top 5 of everything. There's just really nothing that they do wrong.
And I think you can easily say that both of these are the top number 1 and number 2 best fully approved foam paddles.
Yeah.
Now, I'm ruling out prototypes and stuff. I'm saying, okay, well, actually, I said fully approved. So let's take the FC Plus out. Let's just be literal. The best USAP approved full foam core paddle is the J2NF.
100% agree.
And here's my pitch with these. More the NF a lot, and then the FC. This applies to a little bit. Normally, paddles that have a high performance ceiling, right? They have like crazy performance potential. Can also have a low performance floor. Perfect example of this is like the PaddleTech TKO-CX. Like that paddle in Christian Alshon's hands, or a lot of pros, is like elite, deadly. Yeah. It's so powerful, so much spin, all that. But in my hands, where I'm not hitting the sweet spot all the time, it's bad. Or I mean, I'm bad with it. Put it that way, right? Yeah. So it has like this low performance floor, and that's the truth with a lot of power paddles. They have like this lower floor. I think the Yola Pro 4s. Yeah, the Yola Pro 4s have raised the floor quite a bit over like the PaddleTechs, and then I think the 11624 Powers are probably right behind that. But this is another level. It's crazy how the ceiling is still so high. The power and the pop is so high, and the spin potential is so high, but the floor is also so high. Like I was saying earlier, you just like get a paddle on a ball and it goes back. And they're actually like really surprisingly easy to control. So us, or at least me, I'll speak for myself, too trash for a power paddle. I'm actually not too trash for these, but for most power paddles I am.
Yeah.
So to me, that's the trait that I would say these are insanely good and one of the best paddles on the market, period, and definitely the best foam paddle approved on the market right now because they are so easy to play with while offering such high performance potential.
Yeah.
So it's like shockingly good. This is... I was texting you about it when I got to try it for the first time. I was like, dude, this is the best paddle I've tried, like first impression wise, in I don't know how long, maybe a year, over 6 months.
I texted Justin.
I'm ruling out some prototypes.
I texted Justin after I did my review and like filmed it, and I was like, dude, I really hope that people like this paddle as much as I do because I feel like such a shill with how like I'm basically calling it a flawless paddle. There's really like nothing wrong with it apart from the neck taper and handle length. There's virtually nothing this paddle doesn't do like top tier. So,
and I just made it through that whole segment without complaining about it. But I will say that the neck taper shape, it literally made me change my form on my two-handed backhand. But the paddle is that good that I was willing to do that. And I'm still struggling a little with two-y stuff, but
that's big praise
I was like,
coming
man,
from
I guess
you.
I got to change. Anyway, And then I think just a real quick touch on the other NFs which are approved. If we remember how we said that the NF is like the top of firepower, and then just a smidge below is the FC plus. If you wanted to go even down further and even more pocketing and more muted but less firepower, then you have the NFT. Great spin, great pocketing, very muted. Maybe top of all court, right? We might be out of the power paddle category with this one, but great feel, great paddle. And then the NFK, which is the Kevlar face one, I am the wrong person to tell you about this. I just don't like Kevlar. I've realized that. I didn't like necessarily the Ruby. I wasn't a big fan of the J2K, even though everyone loved it. I could respect it as a good paddle, but I didn't like the feel. And when that one came out, I actually preferred the J2H at the time. So that kind of, my preferences go in hand. So I play with the NFK a little bit, and I'm like, yeah, this seems to offer similar playability to the NF, but I just don't like the feel. So honestly, I didn't play. I played half a session with it, and I was like, it's not for me. But if you are someone who knows and likes the feel of Kevlar over carbon and fiberglass, then you probably want to choose the NFK over the NF, because I think they play pretty similar, just a feel difference.
Yeah, I would say the NFK and the FC Plus are pretty similar in terms of performance. The FC Plus has a little bit more dwell. The NFK might just barely have more pop on it. But what kind of Justin and I alluded to is that it's like splitting hairs between a lot of these paddles. You know, the NF, the NFK, and the FC Plus are all pretty damn similar. So you can't really go wrong. But yeah, anything else we want to touch on those before we move on, man?
No, I feel like we rambled on them for a while.
Yeah. Code Pursuit 10 will save you some money, bringing it down to $175 for the FC Plus as well as the NF. NFK, you can use code Pursuit, and the NFT is also Pursuit 10. So Kevlar paddles are just code Pursuit. Sorry, Honolulu kind of does it kind of funny with that. So great paddles, really love them. All right, we're going to move on to, I wouldn't even say it's a surprise, but one of the most shocking paddles that I have played with in a long time, where I immediately was like, oh damn, I can't believe this is actually happening. That is the new SLK ERA Power. This is the elongated 16 millimeter. I played with this paddle today, and I kid you not, immediate connection. I was like, this paddle is very, very good, which is counterintuitive to almost every Selkirk paddle that I've used. They've all been like, oh, this is fine. You know, like the 008s, these are fine. There's nothing wrong with these paddles. They're good. The 14 millimeter Halo Pro, I think, is the Kevlar one. That was one I was like, yeah, it's fine. It's a totally fine paddle. This paddle, though, is actually like a top tier performer. I played this with no weight for the first game. Played some of my best pickleball. Put some weight and an overgrip on it. Next game, played some of my best pickleball. This paddle is legit. It reminds me a lot of the C45, except it's not quite as rigid and like stiffer or crisper in terms of feel. A little tiny bit more plush, but that's not to say it's a plush paddle. I would say it's got a good bit of bite to it. It's got a firmer feel, but it's kind of in the middle of firm and plush. So I really, really like these paddles, and I can see why every single Selkirk Pro plays with these.
Yeah, they all moved over pretty quick as soon as that one was approved.
Yeah. And I mean, look at that ball dust, bro. That's not, none of that's a race. That's not too bad.
I played with the wide body version very little. So I don't have one of these, but I basically tried the wide body for like a warm up, pretty much is what that would be. And I had like very good initial impressions. I was like, oh yeah, this is really good.
Let's see.
Feels really good. It felt powerful, but not like tippy top of power, while also being pretty controllable. The feel was nice off the face. It was really easy to understand like what the ball was doing. And then the shapes I actually really like. So the wide body shape is the same as the flare shape, which you know I love. And then the elongated shape, I haven't had it in person, but I will say it looks like the handle and the taper are really good, and it's a kind of interesting looking shape, and it looks like a great shape.
Yeah, it's a great shape. It is. I just measured it. It's like a millimeter longer than 16.5, and then it's about 7.4 inches wide. And you look at it, it looks a little bit more narrow for a typical elongated shape paddle, but for the most part, actually, like 75% of elongated paddles are actually 7.4 inches wide.
Yeah, a lot of them
are. Nothing outside of the ordinary, but this is just a hair longer than 16.5. Didn't bother me at all. I felt very, very good about this paddle. I thought that the forgiveness of it was very impressive. I would definitely say this is a power paddle for sure. Gets great spin, has very good pop. It's felt surprisingly maneuverable. I didn't measure the swing weight, twist weight. I'll probably pull off my tungsten and weigh it later today to get the exact measurements. But very, very, very impressed with this. This is living up to the hype as easily the best Selkirk paddle ever. So,
and what you said, best elongated on the market?
It could be.
What about
I'm about to compare
the Hyperion Pro 4?
So here's my thing with the Hyperion. I haven't played with the Pro 4 yet, so I'll
Even
just say
the Perseus Pro 4.
Yeah, say Perseus.
Say that.
The problem with the Perseus is it's still. This was a huge problem with the 3S. 3S, anytime you hit it here and above, elite paddle. Anytime you hit it here and below, trash. Pro 4, better, but not that much. So I think the face reactivity across the entire face is much more consistent with this. The C45 and definitely the Holbrook ARMA had a pretty good consistent face feel. But that is my one gripe with the Pro 4. It's just not the most forgiving face across the vertical axis. So could this be better than the C45 14 millimeter? I'll have to compare them. But first test, I was super impressed with this paddle. June 24th is when it releases. I'll be playing a lot more with that paddle. Really, really like it. Dare I say, main material. So one more paddle. Did you get the Selkirk ERA? No, that's right. All right, we'll move on then. One more paddle that I got to test today was the Onix Hype Pro. I did very minimal testing with this paddle.
Hype X.
Hype X. What did I say? Hyper Pro? Yeah, sorry. This is the Hype X Pro. And if you get this paddle, you'll notice that it is like a Madden character that you created. It's 99 overall at everything on their packaging material.
Yeah, on the packaging and marketing material.
This is
power,
absolutely
spin, control, just maxed out.
This paddle is perfectly fine. It's a solid paddle. It is not 99 overall at anything. It's literally not a single thing.
It's just 75 overall at everything, huh?
Yeah, I would say this is your typical Gen 2 elongated paddle. It reminds me a lot of the Hirachi X. It does have a slight taper, has a nice long handle, and it's not a paddle shape that inspires much confidence in terms of forgiveness and stability.
Looks cool, though.
It is a very, very good-looking paddle, and this will perform as good as any thermoform paddle that's on the market. Can't remember what the price is on these, but if I remember correctly, it's a fairly aggressive price. Like it's pretty.
I think it was like
solid.
$129.
Yeah.
Before code. It's either $129 or $119 before code. It's like very competitive. I mean, as it should be for, like you said, a standard Gen 2. But
yes.
Good on them, because Onix is a larger company that does have a good bit of market share, so they don't have to try to compete down there, but they're choosing to. So I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. It's a perfectly solid paddle. Yeah, it's 120.
Yeah, 120. Yeah, before code, right? Yeah.
Raw carbon fiber. Yeah, I'm not sure if it came out yet or not, but if it is available and this is a paddle that you are interested in checking out, Code Pursuit should save you 10% with all Onix paddles. So, look, I'm gonna be honest, guys. It's not the best paddle ever. So just don't have super high. It's perfectly fine. It's gonna be great for anybody who likes elongated paddles. Just it's not anything that's gonna change the game in terms of performance. So, all right, dude. That was a lot of paddles. We're already 50 minutes in. We're going to move on to...
It's going to be a long one today.
Yeah, we're going to move on to something from ADV that Justin's going to talk to us about.
We're talking about some gear. All right, we're
Let's
going to
get
try
it.
this. Look, this might not translate well, but... Hey, not bad, not bad.
That was pretty good, dude.
Yeah, not bad. This is the ADV Training Kit, and it comes in this kind of string bag, which is really high quality. These strings are, pretty heavy duty. This stuff's pretty heavy duty. There's a zipper pocket on the outside, and as you saw, there's a private little zipper pocket on the inside. So on ADV's website, of course, pretty much everything they make is high quality. This is something I've been interested in for a while. This isn't even listed under Pickleball. It's like one of their tennis things. But this is pretty much a kit with 7 different items that help you with training. So I actually think it's very important, and I've been trying to do a little bit more, especially after I got injured. I've been like leaning more into PT and all this. So I'll kind of walk you through some of the things, and some of them I find more useful personally than others. This is what's called an agility ball. It's like a little ball that has unpredictable bounces. You can like bounce it and try to catch it. My dog likes it more than I do, but it is pretty cool. This is a stretch band. This is kind of a thinner one, but it's real strong. So, you could, stretch like this, however you want. Obviously, you know how to stretch. There is an additional stretch band, which is probably more what you're used to, wider. I've been using this quite a bit because I'm not flexible and I can't touch my toes. So when I sit down, I have to loop this under my feet and try to pull myself down, And here is probably my most used piece. This is a hip band. We put it on either side of your knees. This is a shout out to Chris Olson, lower back problems. He was teaching me like his warm-up routine for his lower back. Anyway, put this on the outside of your knees, and then you kind of shuffle step side to side both ways. Works out the hips and the glutes. I'm trying to get on Chris's glute level. That's going to take some years of work. But
years. Bro's caked up.
Years of work. And then we got a jump rope, which... It's hard work, dude. I've been trying to jump rope recently.
Bro.
Wow, it's tiring.
I used to teach PE to elementary kids and would teach jump rope all the time. So I'd be jump roping for like 7 hours in a day.
Dude, you're probably like got killer calves. Anyway, this was...
My calves are very genetically poor.
The cool thing about it, I guess, compared to regular jump ropes is you can adjust the length. These pivot on the handles, and there's a counter in it. It's like a little pedometer. And you can reset it, but as you jump, it counts. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
It's actually a pretty cool little jump rope. Yeah. And then the last one is a fence stretch band with a little carabiner. You would clip this onto the fence and then stretch your shoulders, like this, however, which I've been doing a little bit of. And some cones. These are kind of flat cones. They fit in there. There's 4 of them. So for drilling and things like that, especially for serve practice when you're out alone, you can kind of put some targets and see how bad you really are. But... So this is the ADV Training Kit. Just wanted to touch on it because it's actually a cool item, and I feel like this type of stuff is overlooked. But I've been using it a good bit, and it's actually been helping me. I don't know how much I'll keep jump roping. That's super tiring. But yeah, it's
good for your heart, big
$70. I think it's $70 before code, but you have code Pursuit to get that discounted. And just like everything ADV makes, it's just like everything is just really high quality. It doesn't feel like any of those corners were cut. All that stuff feels like nice stuff. Okay, staying with gear real quick and off paddles. I wanted to get this is a fast.
Real quick, you can't touch your toes.
Nah, dude.
All right, get. This is for anybody who has very limited.
My lower back is like super tight.
I used to be real bad. I'm talking like I would be like this far off the ground minimum when trying to touch my toes. One humongous benefiting thing that I did was I bought a slant board. So it's those boards that you can kind of raise up and make it more slanted. Doesn't matter. You don't have to do that. You can just have something that you put your toes up on and you lean over with your knees slightly bent, and then you straighten your knees. You lock them at your full, your full stretch, and then you stay there 15, 20 seconds. Just slowly try to add a little bit more length, and you hold that for 30 to 60 seconds, depending. It hurts, it sucks, it's horrible, but I guarantee you in like 3 weeks, you'll pretty much be able to touch your toes. If you do that like
so eccentric
3 times. Yeah.
That's for stretching your calves and Achilles, which I had to do a lot of during PT after I had those micro tears in my Achilles. And going to the therapist, my calves and my Achilles are actually okay now. They're not too tight. For me, it's like my hammies into my lower back.
Yeah.
So I can actually do a lot of eccentric stuff. Like I can pick my feet up. The bottoms of my legs are fairly flexible, and my hips are. But yeah, my the upper portion. And I know it's all one kinetic chain, right? So you need to fix it all at once. You know this. You're the this is your thing, right? You went to college for this.
I went to college for this. Forgot a lot about it, but the main problem a lot of people has. Yeah, I barely can read. That's why I was a PE teacher. A lot of problems that people have with tightness in their hamstring is actually not necessarily the hamstring. It's usually like the insertion area behind their knees, and then obviously their lower back. So
yeah, mine's my
lack
lower
of
back for sure.
flexibility. I don't have the most flexible lower back, but I can very easily touch my toes, after one set of, stretching. I used to be able to like go almost palms to the ground. It was
I'll
crazy.
try it, dude. And that's crazy because you got long legs, so you got more to stretch.
Very long legs, short torso. But anyway, that's all I have to say about that. Stretching.
Speaking of long legs, real quick, this is just like a random thing, but something about our set that only shows us from here up has people just thinking that we're short.
Yeah, we're
which is
short
okay.
Kids. Short kings,
but
baby.
It's shocking how many times like people see us or meet us and they're like, "Oh, you're
so tall."
Well, I mean, Lewis is like 6'2" or something. Like he's like legit tall. So
I'm actually like a quarter inch under 6'2". Just
that's 6'2", bro.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Can't have that big of an ego. So, all right, man.
Okay.
Touch on some
quick
balls.
Update. This is gonna be real fast. Let me touch on some balls. I had been testing some, and I told you guys what my favorites were. This was a couple weeks ago. Outrage in the comments. All right, everybody hated me. Said I'm an idiot, and told me a bunch of other balls to test. I'm just kidding.
You were stupid.
All right, here's what I tested. Some of these I'll go into more detail than others. Komodo Bio Ball. I'm so glad it's biodegradable. I don't want to play with it. It's too slow. The Owl Ball, which was supposedly the official ball of APP, I got fooled by that marketing because APP really uses Franklin's. It's like the APP.
That's what I thought.
Amateur tournaments or whatever. Anyway,
yeah,
that ball sucks too. Okay. Then what else did I have here? Don't remember. But here's the important one. Okay, Gamma Chuck. I had said, "Oh, this is my favorite ball. I love this ball," and everyone hated me for that, right? And they were like, "These suck." So I was like, "Dude, it had been a while. I had 6 of them, but it's about 6 months ago, and they were honestly. I remember the experience finally, and I was like, "Dude, these are good." So I bought another 6, and I have an update to tell you guys. Can't recommend these balls. Okay, here's why. I know, right? So far, out of the 4 that I tested, 2, awesome. They did not crack. They had good speed, like they're about the speed of a Vulcan, but they stayed round. They actually maintained their speed for way longer than a Franklin or even a Vulcan does. Great balls. Love them. The color's not ideal. You might not be able to tell, but it's kind of dull. And especially after you use it, it gets a little bit more dull. But the playability was awesome. However, out of those 4, 2 were amazing. The third went like immediately square, like Vulcan bad. Crazy bounces, super flat spot. We tried playing through it. It never went back. So we were like, okay, let's get another one. The 4th ball went only slightly out of round, but never came back. Still had some wonky bounces. But it's like, man, that level of inconsistency just across 4 balls, that's no good. So I'm retracting my recommendation.
Say it.
Oh.
Say it.
Oh, you're going to say the X40? No, I actually have one. There's another one, dude. This is what I've been testing recently that I'm only 3 balls into this one, but I've tested 3, and all 3 of them have been awesome. It's the Core Outdoor Ball. Okay, let me be extremely clear in case you guys want to order them. Not the Core Impact. The Core Impact ball is a different ball. Plays like an X40, but gets soft even faster. Bad. You can get it for like $1 a ball sometimes, but I would rather play the X40 than that. However, the Core Outdoor is probably not quite as fast as the Chuck and the Vulcan, but definitely firmer than the X40, maintains its firmness and its speed way longer than the X40. And I've been through 3 of these now, and they've had multiple sessions on each of them, longer than I would normally play with the ball just because I want to test it. And they have not gone out of round, nor cracked. Now, nothing's really cracking here this time of year because it's very humid and hot. So the cracking thing, I can't really say. This isn't winter. But they have not gone out of round, which does happen in the heat. So the core outdoor ball, I'm actually really impressed. And you know what I had said was, if I was going to play in a tournament tomorrow and someone was like, what ball do you want the tournament to use? This is what I would say. Core outdoor.
Franklin X40.
Yeah.
I played with those in a Moneyball tournament. No. Yeah, it was a Moneyball tournament.
Core outdoor or core impact?
The core outdoor. And they cracked. Like one cracked like hole to hole. So it could have just been like in there for a long time and we were playing with it.
Maybe, yeah.
So like I thought they were fine though. I had no issues with them other than a couple balls cracking. They were
people around here are very resistant to trying new balls.
Mm-hmm.
And I've made them try a couple that aren't great at this point, and everyone's like, "Oh God, here we go." But
Just
I will say now, multiple sessions, after like 5 different sessions of getting people to touch on these balls, the core outdoor balls, I mean, everyone has been like, "Dude, this is like actually really good." So no complaints. So yeah, core outdoor, shockingly good, and I think core has pretty good sales. I'll keep testing, and yes, I know the elephant in the room is the freaking 48-hole lifetime ball that bounces way up here. I get it. But a used lifetime ball does play awesome, but I'm not going to buy them all just to like, they're like $20 for 3 and then have to like use all 3 of them before I ever bring them out to a game because they're crazy when they're new. But yes, that's the little caveat. But yeah, by the way, on balls, what cracks me up is whenever people want the most powerful paddle ever. Like they're like, I need this. They want to play with a D-Land paddle. They want the YOLO Pro 4, anything, but then they won't play with anything but an X40. I'm like, what do you actually want? Like, do you want the game to be faster or not? Because what they want to play with, like their old X40 they pull out of their bag with their YOLO Pro 4. I'm like, something's wrong here, you know? So
the math ain't mathin'.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, there's our ball update. Justin, doing what he does best.
I'll continue touching on some balls.
Good. I hope you do. I hope you do. Makes you happy. All right, we're going to move on to everyone's favorite segment. New week, new main, sponsored by Bodhi Pickleball. If you're looking for grips, tungsten tape, bags, sleeves, we got some new shirts, hats. What else? Did I forget anything? I forgot a lot of things. Speed coins.
Bag tags.
Dude, bag
Speed
tags.
Coins.
The new tungsten pods. They just have so many accessories, and they're all very good stuff. Very high quality. I use the tour bag religiously because it is small enough to where it's not gigantic, but it's big enough to where it fits all of my crap and just makes it very easy. One bag to bring all my camera gear. So yeah, you can use code Pursuit to save 15% when purchasing anything on Bodhi Pickleball. Thank you, Bodhi, for sponsoring New Week, New Main. So, Justin,
it's sleeve season, baby.
Oh, baby.
Sleeve season.
Look at them sleeves, baby.
So these are the new colorways, and I gotta say, Bodhi is embracing the soft summer palette. This is I've learned my seasonal palettes from my wife recently.
Our pastels.
And, they are embracing the soft summer palette,
I love
which
it.
apparently is my personal color palette.
You actually, you do a lot of pastels. I've noticed.
Hey, bro, gotta look good. You know what I mean?
That's right.
It's accentuates my eyes.
Big things coming, bro. Big things coming.
So, yeah. So sleeves, like bag tags, which are funny, but this one's cool. Little dripping ball, and this one looks like overgrip. But dude, I had to pull this off my bag because I put it on. Look.
Nobody cares.
Little side note. Nobody cares. Real more. Side note. Yeah. Lewis told me, he was like, whenever I asked him if we're going to play together again, he was like, he typed out this whole long message. He was so scared he offended me. And he's like, listen, dude, I just need you to try. Don't blame the ball. Don't blame the net. Just get out of your head. So I haven't been, bro, because nobody cares.
Nobody cares, bro. Just drill more. Hell yeah.
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 Right.
And that,
So, anyway,
to real quick, to touch on that, that we already had this conversation, but this goes to anybody. Little sneaky net gains in there. Don't blame anything on your mess ups. The only thing you should do is take accountability. It's just going to make it easier for you in the long run, and it's actually going to be more impactful positively on your mentality during the game when you take full responsibility for things that not necessarily you have control over, but you don't want to have excuses for everything. That's just a golden rule of life, in my opinion. Don't make excuses.
Yeah.
Just move on from there. It will help you out. So, all right, dude. New week, new main. Shall we do this on the count of 3?
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. J2NF.
We didn't plan this, by the way. I don't think either of us knew. But yeah, J2NF. That's for me too.
Oh boy, yeah, this paddle is ridiculously good. We talked for 20 minutes on how good it was, so we're not going to bore y'all with much more. But yeah, this is the new week, new main. Could be new year, new main, depending on what comes out this year. But such a solid paddle.
Hard to beat.
Yeah, it's going to be real hard to get this out of my hands. There's going to have to be a paddle that just checks all the boxes, and I just, for whatever reason, play better than I play with this. So, great paddles. The new NF series from Honolulu Pickleball Company is elite. So,
if the FC Plus gets approved,
that's yours.
I might choose it.
Yeah,
I might choose it. I'd still need
that's
to
great
try
choice.
Some more, but yeah, it's pretty tight between those. But for now, since the NF's approved, we have a tournament upcoming, J2NF. And I never thought I'd main a J2, bro.
Goodbye. Feel like what's it, Rose at the end of Titanic?
Just let it sink.
Yeah, let it sink. Oop. All right. All right, we're going to move on to net gains. Justin?
All right.
Net gains? You said you got something for this week. You said it's going to be full circle. I'm very, very excited to hear this.
This, for our longtime listeners, is going to be a full circle moment. I'm going to be made to eat my own words, basically, by myself. But if you guys remember, a long time ago, we talked about our pet peeves in pickleball. And I got roasted for saying this, by the way, but I was like so adamant at the time. I said
you did.
Pet peeve in pickleball was whenever people just say useless, encouraging stuff on the court constantly.
You got this.
On a tap paddles between every point. You got it. Oh, it's all good. Let's go. Like, you're doing good. Don't worry about that. Leave it in the past. Like, oh, man. Right?
Leave it in the past.
Okay. Here's the full circle moment. I was wrong. Okay. I was not a good enough teammate to understand the intended purpose and the power of that type of thing. Okay. So here's the net gains. And maybe this applies more to tournament play or specific partner play than it does to rec play, but it also works in rec play. And I've witnessed the power of this. Being a good teammate, actually is kind of that checking in with your partner, right? And that's what you're doing. That's what I realized, is that all those little nothings that you would say, like all good, no worries, it's because it is nothing. It's not about the words, right? If you want to stop and talk strategy or change a plan, that's one thing. What I'm talking about is something different. I'm talking about your partner misses into the net. You're way back on the court. They're up front, right? You see them head down. You literally walk across the court that you don't need to walk to and tell them, hey, dude, it's all good. Like, let's get the next one, tap paddles.
Just leave it in the past.
But actually saying it's all good, let's get the next one, doesn't matter. What matters is actually maintaining that connection and that like synergy, essentially, and that chemistry with your partner throughout the game that, like Braden from Pickleball Effect said, like, it's me and you, we're in this together. And that's the concept that, when you're checking in with your partner and you're making eye contact and you're tapping paddles or whatever you're doing, you're high-fiving, it's just like keeping you guys on the same page. And yeah, maybe there are moments when there is a strategy discussion. When you say, hey, let's return to this guy from here on out, or let's stack this way, or whatever. And those are great too. But I'm just talking about maintaining connection. And it's actually super important. And I'll tell you why. For me, at least, as you guys know, I've been like this overanalyzer, overthinker, and kind of making this routine of saying things that require no thought. To tell my partner, it's all good, or let's get the next one, or all right, let's go. None of that requires any thought. Like I said, the words aren't even that important. It's just the feeling, the concept. So in that moment, I'm using my brain power and my physical power in between points to go touch base with my partner and be on a positive page and be like, let's go, and have that positive energy for myself and between us. So I'm using my mental energy to do that rather than walking back to the baseline being like, oh, I fucking suck at dinks. I'm screwing this up, or I'm choking, or whatever it is, right? You just replace all of this useless self-analyzation with touching base with your partner. And dude, it helps. Like some partners, Lewis specifically, really feeds off energy from their partners. I've seen it. I've seen you play with other people. I saw you at the NERDTOWN playing with Steven. And that dude had some real positive energy, and he checked in with you. And I literally could tell from the sidelines. I saw it fire you up. I saw it like get you going and getting really engaged. I also saw it kind of pull you out of some ruts a couple times because, we're streaky players, as are a lot of people. And I could see that encouragement from him, especially when you're playing with a better player, like with you and Steven, to have them like have your back even when you're in a rut. It kind of pulls you out. You're like, all right, cool. Like I don't feel so much pressure. As if you were playing with a better player and they you miss a dink and they roll their eyes. You're like, oh God, I can't miss the next one, right? And my partner was the same thing at NERDTOWN. Will, very good player, better player than me, and he was just so extremely positive, and we laughed together between points, even on mess ups. We talked a little bit of strategy, but we also just like checked in with each other, and that kept me motivated and honestly helped me, come out of some slumps on basically every single round of that tournament. I feel like I played well, and then I started thinking, and I went into a slump, and then I had to pull myself out of it, and then we'd finish the game. But part of that, stopping thinking and pulling myself out was being engaged in the moment with myself and with my partner and building that chemistry. So look, here I am, full circle. Now you're going to see me out on the courts doing the exact thing that I said was my pet peeve, but to me, it's actually very valuable now. And Lewis and I talked about playing together again, and I think this is one of the ways that I was, not intentionally, but I was not being a good partner to him. Like I said, he's someone who feeds off energy, and I was just like to myself, you know what I mean, thinking in my head, and I wasn't giving him anything to feed off of, and I wasn't like staying connected. Of course, we're good friends, and there was never any negativity between us, but we also didn't build a ton of emotional chemistry or energy in that way. And I think we will do that a lot better now because I understand how to respond to it, and I also understand how to be a good partner in that way. So yeah, be a good partner, be a little cheesy, have a little fun with it, and build some positive energy. And that's the net gains.
Yeah. And I will just add one thing. This is, if I'm playing with you, that means I have full confidence in you giving your all. And if I have full confidence in you giving your all, I know that any mess up that you make, it's not because you're just goofing off. You're not just losing focus and you don't care about something. I know that you're giving your all. And whenever you mess up, you're not going to be happy about messing up. And I'm going to be there every single time to tell you, it's okay that you messed up. You could mess up every single point for the rest of this game. And I would know that you still gave it your all and that I was always going to be supporting you, because not everybody goes through just peaks. There's always valleys. There's always some valleys in there. So being there for your partner when they are going through a valley is arguably the most important time. In addition to just being positive. I probably undersold it when I said Majangus was a great partner. He was exceptional because the most important thing as a partner, especially when you're like the clear better player, he's clearly better than me, is making sure that both players know that you have full confidence, you are there to support, and there's no animosity, there's no eye rolling, there's no, oh God, I can't believe you missed that shot. Not once did I ever feel even a hint of that. And that goes a long way. It really does. So not to say that you need to be like overly, oh man, come on, you got this, dude. I know you hit 14 shots in the net, but bro, we're going to get the next one. No, it's just very simple. It's very simple. Like, dude, we're good. Let's go. Keep going. Head up. Stay focused. Lock in. Just small words of affirmation do go a much further way than a lot of people think.
Yeah, and I'm not a words of affirmation person. Like in life, I don't care. I don't even like compliments. I don't really give a shit.
You're so cute. Dude.
However, for me on the court, like I said, even if you said something nice about me, it isn't like, ooh, I like that compliment. Like I said, it's more just about maintaining connection. Because you're in it together. You are. It's like a team 100%. Game. And to speak to our NERDTOWN experience and our partners there, dude, you made the finals. I made the finals. Okay, yes, we had good partners, but a lot of the teams there were built the same way we were, right? Like let's call it a 4-0-ish player and then a much better partner. Yeah. I think a big reason why you succeeded in that tournament and I succeeded in that tournament is because we both had really good team chemistry. Like our teams, I think, played really well together. And that's not always easy to do when there's a big skill gap. So that's big props to our partners. And I think we did our part too, of course. To maintain that. I would never have in doubt. You're like a good partner in that way. Me, I kind of learned that and, kind of forged that in that tournament. I was already learning that. I've been reading the Inner Game of Tennis. And I'll have more net gains about that because there's some good stuff. But yeah.
To clarify, you were never a bad partner. You just were not someone who wanted to, give words of affirmation
I wasn't engaging in the partner energy flow. I wasn't really.
But you were
giving you any.
Heavily into performing your best, which is very important.
Definitely.
Like I would say arguably more important.
Yeah, I agree. But for the sake of this net gains, what I'm talking about is kind of the energy flow between partners. Course, I wasn't really giving you any, and I wasn't even really receiving what you were giving me. And in a good partnership, I think it kind of flows back and forth. You're just reflecting it back and forth to each other. So
yeah.
All right. Well, here I am eating my words.
Are we crying now?
Full circle moment.
Or a little therapy session?
We'll see if it works,
bro. So that is net gains. That was a long net gains, but I think it's a very important one. Be positive. Support your teammate. Don't have an ego. Just be there. Know that 99.9% of people want to play the best they can possibly play and don't want to fuck up. So when they do, just be there for them. Let them know it's all good. Move on to the next one.
And when they do great, hype them up.
Leave the past.
Let's build the energy.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, dude. Let's move on. What do we got here?
All right.
Is it time?
2-2.
Mayor?
2-2. We're going to go to NERDTOWN, all right?
Let's go, baby.
This is a long podcast already, so get over it. This one, we're going to do a little something different. Usually NERDTOWN is about paddles, but today we're actually going to NERDTOWN about shoes, okay? Most of you know I have been wearing these New Balance Coco CG2s since September of last year. This was actually my third pair.
Damn, boy.
Here we go. Pair 4. This is pair 5, okay? And, the first and second are gone in the trash. And I have number 6 on the way as a warranty replacement.
Jeez,
so,
bro.
This is how much I love these. Like, when it comes time, they're going to, make a new model or whatever. I'm going to try to stock up on these. And I get that shoes are a very personal thing, but these are just perfect for me. I'm not going to go into like a full shoe review. I want to talk, since this is NERDTOWN, about a specific part of shoe technology that I think makes these shoes exceptional and kind of makes them unicorns in a way. And let it be said, see this sick colorway right here? Myself and Coco Gauff both won a tournament this month in this colorway. So must be the shoes, right? She won French Open. I won NERDTOWN. It's basically the same thing.
Basically.
But
one of y'all got a belt.
But yeah, true.
Just saying.
What'd you get? A big gold cup?
Yeah. Loser.
Yeah. So
Coco Gauff.
Anyway, yeah, she is. Congrats to her. So the main part of the tech that I want to talk about today is a shank, right? It's a shank plate. Some shoes have these. Actually, a lot of performance running shoes and marathon shoes have shank plates. And some shoes don't have them, and I think they suffer when they don't, or if they have a subpar one. But the shank plate in this one, I'll kind of show you, it's visible, actually curls up on the lateral heel right here. It's carbon fiber, and then you can see it here. It goes down underneath, and then we'll see if you can see through the outsole, but essentially is like a chicken foot down here. It splits off into two. And you might not be able to see it much, but so it's a piece that wraps from the lateral side underneath and then branches out in the toes. And this gives so much heel stability because it's wrapping up here that you can almost never roll your heel this way. So the torsional support is amazing. But the little split shank in the toe has so much snapback. Like even with my hands, it takes a lot of force to bend these. It doesn't feel like it in the shoe, but it takes so much force to bend it, and then there's so much force snapping back. So because of this design, these shoes manage to be very like comfortable. There's actually quite a bit of padding around the heel, and it's kind of a mid-top. There's a good amount of padding through the midsole, but they're also snappy. They feel fast, but they also feel really supportive. And normally you have to trade off. You get a speed shoe that's really fast but less supportive, or you get a stability shoe that's very supportive, but it feels kind of heavy and a little bit clunky, right? This shoe somehow manages to do it all, and I think that the shank is the main piece here. And not only that, but the shank splits dual density foam. And this actually helps the life of the foam because the shank plate then takes the pressure from your foot and spreads it out across the shoe rather than just blasting one part of the foam where the heaviest part of your foot is. So the life of the midsole is longer. That's awesome. I mean, I've been wearing these. I probably only wear them for about 2 months each, and then I wear through the outsole and get the replacement. But during that 2 months, I'm never like, my feet are hurting or these are dead, you know? And yeah, man, it's just been extremely impressive how they managed to kind of check all the boxes. Like I said, they're as supportive as a stability shoe, but as fast as a speed shoe. They're about medium weight, but they play light, but they feel kind of heavy, right? So you put them on and they feel like, wow, I have so much shoe on my foot. But as soon as you start putting energy into them and actually running and moving fast, they're like snapping back. They're giving so much back to you. So it's almost like the more you give it, the more it gives back. The faster you move, the faster they feel. But then just standing around, they're like so plush and comfortable.
Gen 3-esque.
In a way, yeah, dude. What's this got? A logarithmic power curve?
Yeah, 100%.
But, you know, all that to bring back to paddles. I had entertained actually designing a kind of split shank into a paddle. This was a long time ago. And it still could be a possibility. But yeah, so carbon fiber has a lot of potential for that reason. And people ask me about these shoes all the time, so I wanted to touch on them. These are excellent shoes. And just the quick and dirty, if you're interested in these shoes, they are on the women's side of the site because they're Coco Gauff signature shoes. I remember reading when they first came out, they are unisex shoes, but they are in the women's catalog because they are Coco's signature. And they were talking about how the inverse has happened before when you have men's signature shoes, but they offer them in unisex sizing. You still have to shop in men's to get them. So you go to women's to get these, but they do offer them in multiple widths. The B width is the women's width, the D is the men, the 2E is wide, and you'll have to convert the sizing. For me personally, like I order these in a 12 women's, which is the same as the 10.5 men's. I actually like the B width because New Balance in general is kind of roomy in the toe box. And I have I would say slightly narrow foot. So the B width fits me perfectly. And because this is so round, I don't have any problems with the narrow width. It's very snug, but it doesn't cut off sharply or taper sharply and smush my pinky toe on this side or taper sharply and smush my big toe on this side. So the toe box being very rounded gives generous room for your toes, even if it's tight around your like metatarsals here where your knuckles are. So yeah, just that's the sizing info. And I feel like I need a promo code at this point. Probably a lot of people have bought these shoes because of me, because I just rant and rave about them. But dude, I mean, I'm over 6 months in, and like I just want more of them.
Maining those, baby.
Since September.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, that's the NERDTOWN. A little bit of a change up, but like I said, I get a lot of questions about them, so I wanted to touch on why I like them so much, and I think what makes them special. And it's a little bit of a tech thing. So the shank, I think, is the magic in this design.
Yeah. Well, sweet, man. If y'all want a sneak peek of the Mizuno Wave Exceed Tour 6s that I've been wearing for the last 2 months that I love, just let me know, and we'll do that next episode.
Yeah, dude,
of the pod.
do it. A lot of people like those shoes and wear them, so you should do it.
They're very good. All right. Anything else we want to touch on before we sign off, man?
That's it, man. It's a long one.
It's a action-packed podcast. We had a lot of good stuff. We started out talking about how we're back together. We almost ended with our little therapy session, and then we just had a little nice shoe nerd down. So our very first. All right, guys, that's it. That's the Pickleball Pursuit Podcast, episode 45. I'm your host, Lewis, here with my co-host, Justin. If you have any topics, any questions, any things that you'd like to cover in future episodes, feel free to drop those in the comment section below. Until next one, we'll see you guys soon. Peace.